they said ain't got no fabric to it. Yay takes and thoughts with dice right through it. It's all about rumors and people feuding. If we're not uplifting, then what we doing? Yeah, they love the culture, yet they trying to wreck it. But are we ready to go hard to protect it? If we don't stand firm, then we're sure to fall. Are you ready to fight this thing and accept the call? Oh, it's all about dealerships and the mall. Now I'm ready to go for broke like Apostle Paul. I'm charged with the task to keep it real. Moving straight forward, not about to yield. Tackling every subject, yeah, you know the drill. R.I.P. Guru, I bring that mass appeal. Our ancestors stood tall despite abuse. We got all the tools, so what's our excuse? It's time to show a face and take off the mask. It's something every yay, it's the podcast. 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 It's something every yay, it's the podcast.
What it do, what it do, what it do. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to episode number 11. It's Some Every Yay, the podcast. I'm your host, Danye F. Jones. We have a very special show for you tonight. But as always, let's do a few little housekeeping items. We're going to get out the way. Subscribe to my channel. Go to YouTube. You must go to Danye F. Jones. The F is key. Because if you put Danye Jones, you might see me on another podcast, or you might see another Danye Jones. That's not me. I'm the original. So definitely also you can follow me on Instagram, Coach_Jones32. You can see me there. Or you can also catch me on Instagram at Decola_32. So yeah, it's going. I don't want to waste any time. I'm going to bring this gentleman on with us right now. We have a gentleman right here, Mr. Coach Norwaine Reed. How you doing, Coach?
I'm fine. How you?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Doing awesome. Put my little things on so I can hear better. Okay, everyone is looking. This is Coach Norwaine Reed. He's a legend. He would never call himself that, but that's what he is. When I talked with him, I told him he was the GOAT of coaches in Saginaw County. I'm going to say the state and say the country, but he's too humble to say that, so I'm going to say it for him. But this is Norwaine Reed. We're going to jump right into it. Fascinating brother. Somebody who I've been looking up to for years. And when I decided to do this podcast, I was writing down potential guests. He was at the top of the list. Because I know the impact he's had on me and other gentlemen like myself around the country. So, Coach, question. You were born in Detroit, Michigan, right?
That's correct, Daniel.
Okay.
Yes.
And siblings?
I have an older sister and a brother, and I'm the youngest.
Oh, okay. Coach, I didn't know you had a sister. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Detroit, D-Town.
Mm-hmm.
So what was life like for you growing up as an African American in Detroit?
It was, I would say it was interesting. At times it was difficult. My brother and I was raised purely by my mother, and my sister was raised by my grandmother. And so we moved around a lot. We moved all over Detroit. But in hindsight, that ended up being a very good experience because we had an opportunity to learn Detroit, and we knew people all over the city. When you move a lot, you leave a lot of friends, and but those friends still stay with you. So as we grew up, we still knew those same people. So that really enlarged our base of people. And so we were able to network fairly well throughout the city.
Oh, awesome. And all this time, I'm a history buff and I love documentaries. And I was looking at a documentary, I think it was during the pandemic, when they were talking about the riots of Detroit in '67.
Yes,
and
that was
yes.
Graduated from high school.
And wow. And when I saw that, I said, man, Coach had to be in the mix during that time. So tell me, from your recollection, what was going on in your mind at that particular time?
Well, it was towards the end of the summer, and it happened so abruptly. But in reading some of the media reports, it appeared that this thing was kind of smoldering for a long time, and the riots started on the west side of Detroit. The incident started when at a Greasy Pig, a joint that people gambled at, and then it abrupted. But as I said, it was smoldering all along. Um, they brought in the National Guard. Several people were murdered by police officers, and so things were quite hot at that time. Um, I was um, I was working at Chrysler that summer. Well, I had a couple different jobs. I worked as a camp counselor. Then I took a job at Chrysler's. And so you were only allowed to kind of move around if you were going a specific place. So which would have been work for me. So when you we stayed in kind of a thoroughfare at that particular time. We were living on East Vernon, which is on the east side of Detroit, and so you could see the National Guard. You know. Driving down and walking down the street, and it to me, those National Guard obviously wasn't regular soldiers, because you could kind of tell. So you had to be very careful, because when you got National Guard who's called to duty, they're not like regular soldiers, which means
Right.
they can be trigger happy.
Yes.
And so you had to walk very softly, and if they told you don't be walking the streets or shut your door, you should it would have been best for you to follow that direction. So that was like I said, it was a hot summer, and it's at that time, it happened in Detroit. There were riots happening in almost all of the major cities around during that year.
Yes, 'cause I was thinking, obviously, that decade of the 60s, probably the most tumultuous time of the civil rights era. And like you said,
Yeah.
a lot of the major, particularly like the urban cities,
Hmm.
the DCs, the Chicagos, the Detroits, Baltimores, things of that nature.
That's correct.
Now, did that shape your way of thinking about America, or because of this, what was already going on during the civil rights movement, was your mind already kind of set of what it was in this country?
You mean in terms of racial strife?
Yes.
I think that's a good question. I think that was kind of the beginning of it, because we at that time we knew that there were prejudice, but I went to school with the high school. Detroit Southwestern was mixed,
Oh,
and
really?
oh yeah, oh yeah. It was we had Mexicans or Chicanos, and we had a lot of whites. I played. There were whites on the football team. There was a guy who uh, we used to go to. When we weren't playing, there was a student manager. We call him Tebow. Well, he was actually from Hungary, and we would go to. He and I would go to a lot of games together. Games that from other teams that we wanted to watch games. So we traveled a lot. And then in Southwest Detroit, even though uh, where I grew up a large amount of time. My early upbringing was in Southwest Detroit before we moved towards the east on the east side. There were whites that were in our neighborhood that we went to school with. Not a lot, but there were some, and so we had befriended those people. But that particular year was big was a because of the Martin Luther King's protests throughout the country. I started beginning to shape my understanding what of the strong racial uh, attitudes around the country. And then when I went off to college, I started studying a lot of that, and that began my studies. Uh, uh, and when I went to school in Flint, then when I went off to Howard, and then I transferred from Howard here, that began to shape some clarity, some understanding of what white supremacy really is. And
Oh, wow.
so it um, it made me be very skeptical, but I still was able to judge people on their own merits, so to speak.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting because because when I think of Southwestern, I was in the 80s when I was coming up. I'm pretty
right.
sure that it was a predominantly black school. So
All it was all, but shortly after I graduated, it was all black.
yeah,
All
so yeah. So when you said they were white, I'm like, oh wow, yeah,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
interesting. So Southwestern, obviously, that was the school you was at. You say you played football and basketball.
And
Now,
basketball, yes.
yeah, and you became all state in both sports. Am I correct?
No, just in basketball.
Okay,
Just in
okay,
basketball. Just in
okay.
basketball. Yeah. But I played both sports as a freshman.
Oh,
I played
okay.
football as a freshman, varsity as a freshman, and I played basketball as a freshman as well as football.
Okay, so at that time, would you say was Southwestern more of a basketball school or more of a football school?
They were both. We did well in both. We were both a football
Okay,
and basketball school.
okay,
We
okay.
won the West Side Championship, played for the PSL Championship. Those things uh, during my career. Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. Now, when you said again, I was going to ask you that. I know you initially attended Mott
Yes.
College.
Yes.
Um,
Well, it was called Flint Community College when I attended.
oh,
It
okay,
was,
okay,
it was not Mott then. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then you went on to Howard. See, that's the part doing my research that really I had no idea that you went to Howard.
Hmm.
So, what was your time like at Howard, and why did you choose Howard?
Okay. Well, I chose to be very honest with you. I chose Howard because they had a large amount of the percentage of women there versus young women there versus men. That's
Absolutely,
that's the honest. That's
absolutely.
want to know the truth.
Hey,
Yeah,
I feel you on that.
In DC
Yes, sir.
alone, DC alone had it was about 18-1 in DC. That whole area with Virginia, DC, and then at Howard alone, it was like 9 to 10-1, 11-1.
Yes.
It was so. To be quite honest, that's where I went. I mean, it was obviously. Uh, Howard is noteworthy for its academic and its history. But when I on my application, Danye, the thing that really was surprising to me, you had to put your picture on there because you had to be fairly light skinned to go to Howard during my time.
Wait,
And
hold on. Hold, coach. Hold on. Hold on.
you,
Hold on. Hold on, coach. Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let's take another take on that. Hold up.
yes. See,
On the
Howard,
application.
yeah, Howard was a very bourgeois college.
Okay.
And it had stopped when I enrolled there. That was along that period was the first time you didn't have to send your a picture with your application. And oh yeah, and Howard, you could just look through the yearbooks. I mean, they wanted to attract light skinned people. I mean, the name Howard was named after a white, I think a white general name was Howard,
Okay.
General Howard, So, it was created by white people for black people, but for a certain class of black people, which apparently at that time were mulattoes or mixed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh well, definitely. I think I actually am writing that down because we have a lot of all my HBCU friends. We have a lot of conversations about colleges, and obviously initially when you sent me to Winston-Salem State, learn and grammar. My mother was the grandfather and stuff, so I know the history. But that's an interesting point, and I'm definitely going to bring up to my Howard friends at another
Yes. Oh
time.
yeah. At that time, that's part of their history. You know,
Wow.
and, if you look at, you know, read different historical documents, you can see that's who they wanted to attract. But a lot of Spelma was and those colleges in 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 the HBC were created by white people.
Yes, yes, no, I know. Yes,
For a certain class of
for a
black people.
certain class, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So, so you playing ball at Howard, right?
I played, but I end up transferring because I didn't like the layout there. I didn't like the situation there. It was extremely political.
Okay.
Extremely political. So I end up getting out of there. And at the time I left, since I played at Mott, they were building a program at Saginaw Valley and asked that I come there. That's where I knew, I knew that I had a place to go. So
Okay.
I remember one night one night I was looking over everything, and it was one of those times that we had extremely rough practice. We had a coach, Stewart, and Stewart just ran us to death for pleasure, it appeared.
Okay.
He started different people for no reason, and it was just I'd never been in an environment where I loved the fact that I was at a school that were predominantly black. I didn't realize the political
Yeah.
ramifications, and I didn't fit. I really didn't fit in that particular environment. In that
Okay.
environment, I was at Slow Hall. My room was 330, room 336. And I remember going over to the girls' dorm one evening and to see what was going on that weekend. And there was like 5 girl dorms, and then there was a new dorm. So there was a lot of women dorms there. And so upon leaving Danye, I was approached by 10 guys, what they call the block boys, and they was getting ready to do something to me.
Oh, wow.
And so I had a roommate his name was Sam Sargent, who was like 4 years older than me. He had been in the Navy, and he had a 22. And he told me, he
Okay.
said, "Look, man," he said, "if you're going over there, don't you carry this." And I grew up in Detroit but I never grew up in that kind of environment, to be perfectly honest with you. So I took that 22.
Hmm.
And when I was approached by these guys, they said, "MF, where you going? What you doing?" And they got up in my face. And so when he got up in my face, I took that 22 and put it up on his forehead. And I said,
Yeah.
"Hey man, I'm not trying to bother anybody, but I'm not gonna let you do something to me." So
Absolutely.
they backed away, and then they said, "But I bet not catch you around on campus or something like that." And I was kind of nervous, and when he said that, and I didn't I started wearing glasses that year for the first time, and I had half eyes. You know what half eyes are? That's when they were glasses that had half the lens.
Yeah.
trying to,
Yes.
I'm trying to be cool now. So I bought
Yes.
half my glasses. So there was the campus was on the hilltop from the dorm, so I can usually walk. So I started catching the bus, but I put my half eyes on just so that's who I was. So it was a boy was murdered at the mailbox at the corner. It was very
Mm.
dangerous. I had a car there. My car was stolen twice. The bumper was torn off, and it was left in the middle of the main. There was a main drag that led up to the University of Maryland. They left my car in
Okay.
the middle of the road. I mean, it was,
Wow.
so. But anyway, to make a long story short, I end up transferring to Saginaw Valley, and my whole life changed.
Yeah, that's interesting because by you being from Detroit, did you know anything about Saginaw at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. Saginaw was a very noted basketball team, Saginaw High. I didn't know
Okay.
anything about Buena Vista or Carlton. I knew Saginaw High because my sophomore year we went to state, and they played the game Ben Harbor before us, and we played the second game against Southfield. So
Okay.
Saginaw was very proud, and they had already won a state championship in 61, no, 62. They went in 61 and lost. Then they came back and won it in 62 with Ernie Thompson. So they were very, I knew them. And then when I went to, when I was at Mott, we played Delta College, right?
Okay.
And so a Delta cheerleader, her name was Demeen Hall. She was from here. She ended up being an actress. She invited us to a party. And so me and a friend of mine, Linton Robertson, came over here to a party once.
Okay.
So I was Saginaw had, you know, uh, had a reputation in terms of the basketball. And plus I had a little minor experience coming here.
Okay. And what's interesting about your move to Saginaw Valley, coming from the program where you were dealing with a lot of political stuff,
Hmm.
you you thrived from the jump
Yeah.
at Saginaw Valley. I'm reading here, like I said, I mean, your last 2 years, you averaged 30, and you
Hmm.
still hold the highest career average, like 27.8
Hmm.
still.
Hmm.
So, what do you think attributes you making that transition so seamless?
Well, nothing is really seamless, Danielle.
Oh,
It
oh,
you
you may
know
look at
the
me.
I
Okay.
had I had an experience when I went to Mott. There was a rocky start basketball wise, and now when I left high school, Danielle, I was third in my senior class. I was class president. I was all state in basketball. I had never had the experience of not playing. So
Okay.
when I went to Mott, it was shaky the first semester. The second semester was much smoother, and the second year was smoother. Although the year my that second semester, my first year, I got ineligible, so I didn't play. I didn't play until the next year. I didn't play until my second semester, but it went well, and we had an extremely good coach. First year, the coach and we didn't see eye to eye because he
Okay.
had some racism. He tried to cover up a racial incident that I reported to the AD.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, I end up having a good second semester the first year, and then I had a very very good year second semester after being ineligible the first semester, and then that's when I went on to Howard. They didn't want me to go to Howard. They tried to talk me into coming straight to Saginaw Valley.
Okay.
So with that difficulty, difficulty and suffering is really necessary if you want to
Absolutely.
grow. And so
Absolutely.
and so I went to I decided to transfer. It was in January. I transferred over to Saginaw Valley. I was ready to roll then. I was
Okay.
just ready to roll then. And plus, it was a great fit for me, and I was welcome there. You understand?
Okay.
I was
Yeah, that
really
means a
welcome.
lot. Yes.
And so that made it very easy. I mean, because I was Gene Hamilton knew of me because I played with his brother at Mott. He knew of me, and so he didn't start me right away. And then he pulled me off the bench, and I had 23 points the first game, and I didn't stop. I didn't let up after that.
Wow. And like I said,
Yeah.
you earned All American honors. Now, I
Yeah.
also read then after your college career, you was invited to the Chicago Bulls training camp.
Yep. I went to the training camp, and I tell you, when we see professional sports, we think this is just a very organized machine, right?
Yes.
It's not run that way. It is
Okay.
run very haphazardly. And so the training camp was at DePaul University. And so me and a friend of mine, Ike Bundy, who played for Detroit Tech, he was invited also. We went together and we stayed at the local YMCA, and then we went to the tryouts, and I was in the kind of the last cut. But to be very honest with you, I had very doubts about being a professional after I saw how that camp went. Because one guy came, I remember this white guy came with black gym shoes and said, "Can I get in there and get a tryout?" They said, "Yeah, what's your name?" Put him on the list. He came in there. I said, "Man, this is a renegade kind of situation." I mean, so pro sports, it's a dogged kind of a thing. And I it just and see, coaching is really, I started actually getting involved in coaching when I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really my love anyway. And I figured that if I would have a pro career, and then I'd get into coaching. Okay. But my calling, it called me a lot sooner than that.
Wow. Two things that's interesting. It's funny how you said that. Not organized. This is not even in my notes, but about the guy with the black. So you want to try out? I remember Johnny Connick, Detroit wanted to work him out, and the night before I was out. I was out late. I think I may have came in about 4 or 5, and he said, "Man, just ride down there with me." If in my right mind, because I always would keep a bag and shoes and shorts in my car, because just in case I get a run. So we go down there. I'm still had a headache because I was drinking the night before. So, and then I remember Casey Jones asked me, "Are you gonna play too?" And coach, I ain't had nothing. And I'm like, damn, I'm not saying they're picking me up, but I'm like, some of the cats that was out there playing, I said, "Oh Lord, I know," because we was playing the Pro-Am in Flint every year against Glenn Rice. So I'm like, that's funny how you said that how that happened. Now, then you also said you've been coaching since, you've been in that mindset since you was a little boy.
Yes.
I have a similar story. I didn't know it then, but so you already kind of knew that's the route that you wanted to go.
I had when I was 11, I would organize street games, and I had a lot of equipment. I would go. My grandmother them lived in River Rouge, so I would go and get. There was a coach there, Usyk, and I would ask him for stuff, like old football pads or something, and he'd go into and give them to me, right? And my grandmother would sew them up and stuff, and I kept a lot of equipment under it was like under the steps at her house. She had an upstairs apartment, but under the steps, I kept a lot of the equipment there. In fact, my grandmother purchased my first full legitimate football uniform, and so she supported that sort, that my involvement in that, and so I would organize that, and I did that. I was always doing something to lead me down that road. Whether I played Little League baseball, but there was another league that wasn't as organized, but the guy needed some help. I would get up early in the morning and go help him out with the other kids, and I was no more than about 10, 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that, and my love was always to work with young people. That was my job. That was my vocation. I already knew that then, and coaching was all part of it. I didn't realize as I got involved that coaching is a science, and it's not
absolutely.
Anybody can wear the label, but it's a lot heavier than that. And of course I didn't know that.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm gonna go on because what you just said, that's gonna take me off. You're right, because everybody's a coach now.
That's right.
Everybody's a coach, and and you are absolutely right. Now, I know you said you want to work with youth. I'm gonna go back because I know you obviously retired as a youth probation officer.
Yes,
Now,
yes,
um, the the St. Mary's. Okay,
yes,
you
yes.
began coaching at St. Mary, and I realized I didn't know. Now, how many years were you at St. Mary's as a coach?
7, 7.
7. Yeah, and you compiled a quick 125.3 record.
Hmm.
And this is my question. So when it was time to come to BV, did BV seek you out, or
Yes,
was the okay, okay?
yes. See, I'm gonna have to tell a real story now.
Please do. Hey, it's some every yay. I
See,
want to know the real.
well, people was upset with what was going on in Buena Vista, and things happen, and I'm telling you, things happen strangely. I was there was a the principal at that time was Mr. Howard,
Yeah.
and he asked me to go to dinner, but he was a
Okay.
very conniving individual, and so
Okay.
we were talking and that, and we. I don't know if he heard rumblings that was coming down the pike. At that time I had no knowledge of what was about to happen.
Okay.
So he asked me, would I like to come over? Would I coach at Buena Vista? And I said, or be George's assistant. At that time, it was George Morris was the head coach.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I told him, no, if I came to Buena Vista, I'm coming to be the head coach. I'm not coming
Absolutely.
to anyone. And
Absolutely.
and and so that was the end of that conversation. And I paid for that lunch, and we went on about our business. And so every so often I would see him. I know he did not like George. He was
Okay.
caught up in a lot of political things.
Mess. Yep. Political
Yeah,
mess. Yep.
he was really trying to buck for the superintendent's job. So now at that time, the Mr. Smith was the superintendent, and there was a guy by the name of Joe Poe who was on the board of education, but he also was the accountant, financial guy at St. Mary's.
Okay.
Now, at that time, St. Mary's was, and the Catholic school was getting ready to join and compile to one school. So, because at that time you had St. Mary's, St. Peter and
Peter
Paul,
Paul. Yeah.
you
St.
had St.
Stephen's.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and so they they had their mind on who they felt that was going to coach there, although it didn't turn out that way, and they certainly didn't want me, you know,
Okay.
because they know I was the East Side. I mean, I wore it on my shoulders that
Yeah.
I would never be coaching over there, you know.
You're right.
So in the meantime, Joe Poe asked me. He said, "Would you like to go to Buena Vista?" I said, what, my wife worked there. And I said, I already had a relationship with many of the athletes there now. They,
Okay.
because if I can go back, digress for a minute, there were old basketball players that would come out to Saginaw Valley and and I used to talk with them and kind of mentor them. One was Angelus Guillory.
Yeah.
The other one was Bobby Johnson, and another one was Reuben Billings, and they were very good basketball players. Bobby Johnson had a tremendous career at Ferris State, and Reuben Billings went to Kalamazoo College, yes, and then and Angelus Guillory went to University of New Orleans, and then he played a lot of semi-pro ball and stuff. So they were good kids, and so I would talk to them. So I had a relationship, and then when I went to St. Mary's, now I didn't say anything about I coached 3 years at Saginaw Valley before going to St. Mary's.
Okay. Okay.
You see, and so, but at St. Mary's, if Buena Vista didn't do well at St. Mary's, we were always making a run for the
Okay.
state tournaments, right? So I would get several players to come scrimmage with us to help us get ready
Oh.
for that state tournament. So the kids, they knew of me, and
Okay.
and I knew that they saw me as a very strict coach, very very straight to the point. But they liked that. They felt they needed that. So when Joe Poe and Mr. Stevens, Mr. Smith, I'm sorry, they came to my house and they told me what they wanted to do, and
Wow.
they told me that they wanted me. He said the job. He said we're going to do something with George, and that job is yours. Period. He said, so, I had the Blue Pride notebook and all that stuff. I showed them what we were about at that time. It was a St. Mary's booklet, and then I just changed it around, tweaked it, and then it became the blue.
Yes.
And the blue, that see that move to Buena Vista was, that's in my blood, really, and that was me. So the transition there was like, this is where you belong.
Yes.
And so everything else was easy. I belonged at Buena Vista. I didn't want nothing else. I didn't want to be trying to pursue a college job. I didn't want to do no others. That was the place that I was. Nothing could satisfy me as much as those young men did it at Buena Vista, because they were all special and they were extraordinary in terms of the willingness to be taught and learn. There's nothing about that experience that I can say that was negative, really. And remember, we did a lot of that without a real assistant coach.
See,
Because
absolutely.
that's because players were just that attuned. Most people knew that even Coach Coles, who was at Saginaw High for a while, and then he left. He said if there was one job in Saginaw he would want it, even over Saginaw High, was Buena Vista.
Wow.
Because the kids there were special, and they were just it was like a time bomb ready to explode.
Ready.
You see,
Coach, I'm on. You know what? Let me see. I'm gonna take these off so I can see what I'm saying, because now this would enter Donnie A. Jones into. See, I had to be behind the glasses leading up to this, because your presence at BV and the impact was felt immediately. And I'm saying immediately, when you came to BV, I was in the 7th grade. I used to go to BV games. In fact, George Morris lived right around the corner from me. And I used to go to games. I've always loved basketball. I always thought I had a strong understanding about basketball. Always did. Not that I'm trying to be arrogant. I just really understood the game. And as a little boy, I saw the talent that BV had. And I'm like, what are they doing? In my mind, I was telling my mother I wanted to go to St. Peter and Paul. Why St. Peter and Paul? Was because Bull, Henry Underwood, and Maurice Cooper.
Right.
It was just that. But when you came to BV, and I remember my friend Deion Dillard came at the game, and that's when he said, because everyone knew about Mark growing up in the elementary league. He said, man, Mark on that. I said, Mark Macon, he on varsity? And I started the paper and did well. So I started coming to the game. It just looked different. Everything about it just looked different. So I just started following. Then I was like, oh man, this is where I'm going, because it just looked different. And then the first year when you guys made it to the state championship, the first year, and losing to Oak Park, I was like, wow. And I just remember like the hype going into when we knew like people was like this Archie Tullis, Steve Coleman, they're going to join. Because they had to join in January, if I'm not mistaken. And so the excitement was already there. So now, in my mind, as a 7th grader, didn't know you, didn't know nothing, but I just know it felt different. And that impact was just felt immediately. So, and obviously, I'm kind of be jumping around. When you went state runner-up 84 and the 85, obviously, we lost in double overtime to Flint Beecher. And I'm glad I went to that game, because for some reason, that game didn't come on TV. I don't know what happened, because no one can find that game. I'm glad I was there, because that was probably one of the best high school games I saw. So, and then obviously the third year, you guys we ended up winning on the 55% shot by Chris Coles. So
Mhm.
after losing 84 and 85, you're right there. And obviously your
Mhm.
success at St. Mary's, you was already in that, using that trajectory going down there. When you
Mhm.
finally broke through 86, what was your feeling like?
It was almost like deja vu. Like, well, we've been there and we knew we knew we could win a state championship. And I felt my whole time at Buena Vista, that's what we were about. We were
Yes.
about winning the state
With the
championship.
championships.
Even if
Yes.
we fell short, we was about that.
That was the
And
goal. Yes.
I wanted that's why we always every day our affirmation was let's go champs, let's go
Yeah.
champs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We constantly was trying to, I was constantly trying to rewire the thinking patterns of the players to let them know that they were champions. And that just wasn't in basketball. That's anything
In
you set out
life.
to do in life.
Absolutely.
You're a champion, no matter what the setbacks were. Even if we wasn't making a run, that was like a glitch. It was almost like
Yes.
there. You see
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Our winning percentage at Buena Vista was like around 92%.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's what we were about.
Yes.
Period. And let me say this, that one of the main reasons I wanted to be in coaching high school and coaching black young men was to be in a somewhat of an assistance to them further in their education.
Yes.
And my guys who mentored me told me that's why you're there. They said you're not there to just be trying to climb a ladder on some kids' back to get to college. You're there to help further these young men, because many of our kids parents couldn't afford to fork up money to go to
Right.
college, so
Right.
they needed a gateway. And so those young men who wanted to go to college and play some sports, there was some place around the United States they could go.
Yes.
Whether it's but any St. Mary's the same way. We place kids who wanted to go. There's a place for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, like I said, I'm jumping around. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously you went on to win your second with us. I'm gonna talk about us in
Yes,
a minute.
yes,
Very,
yes.
very, 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 very biased about us.
If you want to really, really, really,
Hold up,
uh,
hold up, Coach. Yeah, we gonna get to us
that
because listen,
89, that
Coach,
89 team was special.
Coach, listen, and we've listen, and I'm gonna come back to that because, like I said, I want you to smell your flowers. I want the
Yeah,
89 because that hold a very special place with me. So we're gonna come
yes,
back to 89, and obviously you went again two more after us in 92 and 93.
yes.
Now, like what I said, but for me, what separated you from other coaches in Saginaw to me and in the state, and probably I'm gonna even say the country? Obviously, you knew the X's and O's. I mean, you knew the X's and O's. I mean, I was talking to a guy today. So I was telling him I was going to interview you, and I said, man, I'm thinking back, like just doing drills of front, left, and right pivot, reverse pivot,
Mm-hmm.
curl pass, triple
Mm-hmm.
threat, ball quickness, closing
Mm-hmm.
out, hedging, all these things I would say that are
Yes.
still like embedded in me. So you
Mm-hmm.
knew the X and O's. But what
Mm-hmm.
separated you was the mental aspect of the game that you
Right.
developed in us. So
Mm-hmm.
where did that approach originate from?
Well, first of all, my major in college was psychology, right?
Okay.
And so I used my understanding of how the mind operates, how it worked. And so my research, I did a lot of research for about 12 years. I studied the Soviet fitness programs and how they
Mhm.
developed their athletes. And at that time, that Eastern Bloc controlled the Olympics.
Yes.
They were winning medals. They won in basketball. They were good. And they had thousands of underground programs. And I mean, it just did overwhelm me. So all of the stuff I was collecting was in that area. Now, when I would try to share that with other coaches, couldn't hear that. They didn't understand that. And my whole thing was how you had to develop the whole individual. and
Yes.
they had to, and you had to get them where they were, as long as they had an extraordinary will to get better, then they could do unusual and remarkable things once they engaged their mind. And so I took the kind of research that I was engaging in about that, and like I said, the mental aspect was in Europe was being it didn't come this way until the Los Angeles Olympics, when they started talking about the mental game. When
So what was that? 84.
84,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
had been doing this for years,
Yes.
years. And
Yes.
so I knew I was onto something. And well, I ignored the other coaches who wasn't buying it. They didn't buy development. They didn't buy the mental aspect. They didn't understand affirmation. They didn't understand periodization, how you bring a team to a point. Every 5 games, I looked at where you guys were, and then we'd take a little break, not a lot, but every 5 games till we were peaking during the tournament. That's
Yes.
periodization, so you make sure you can recover and that kind of thing. And so that it just enhanced my confidence in what we could do as a group once there was a buy-in, and the buy-in was just through constant repetition. And if you notice, you guys got a lot of tip sheets, and
Yes.
that. So after the season, I remember visiting Henry Rance was at Howard, and
Yes.
I visited him, and I went to the basement. He had all the tip sheets. He had the folders. He had redid them. His whole wall was did with the tip sheets. The whole wall. And
Yes.
so so you're constantly getting in. And once you can get that mind, once you can get them to buy in, it's over.
It's
There's
over.
nothing you there's nothing you can't do, because you have the belief you had in yourself was unbelievable, you know. And I remember Don Myers at Tennessee. He had saw you guys, and he said, "Man," and was premier coach, and he said, "Man, that team, them guys was unbelievable." He said, "If I could take Sean Jackson, I'd take him right now. He was just a
Yes.
sophomore." You see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So but I can go get your picture, y'all picture right now, and this has nothing to do with any other team, because I love them all. But
Right.
you guys is the picture with a plaque, and that is right in that room right now. It's the only one, other than in the basement. There's a big portrait of the 86 state championship team. But upstairs, I look at you guys every single day, every single day.
And coach, it's ironic you said about the tip sheet, because it's ironic. This was, well, I know you can't read it, but
Mm-hmm.
this tip sheet here I thought was so important, because you have everybody's name on this. After we played Newville at Newville, beat them by 40 something. That's the game
Mm-hmm.
John Chaney came. We
Mm-hmm.
beat about 40 something. But what was important to me about that, everybody on the team did not really play a lot, but you
Mm-hmm.
still had something for every single person
Right.
on there.
Yeah.
And I look back, and like I said, of what you was doing with us on the mental aspect. And I remember this one day. My mother woke me. It was a Saturday morning. She said, "Your coach on the phone." It was early too. I said, "Hello." You said, "What you doing asleep? Get up. Come over here." So I went over there and we were talking. It was a stretch where Johnny wasn't playing well, like
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 games. So I think
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of worried about where he was going to go to school. In
Mm-hmm.
hindsight, looking back, he was pressing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Daniel, you need to be more assertive. You need to start shooting more, start scoring more,
Mm-hmm.
until we bring Johnny along, because we're in a little. We had lost like 3 out of 4 games." And I said, "Okay." And then we started getting back in the groove. We played John Glenn, and Johnny kind of got his groove back that game. And I remember I got a steal, and
Mm-hmm.
when I had a layup, But I remember that conversation, and I let Johnny catch up with me, and I threw it to him. He cocked it back and dunked it. And I looked on the sideline, and you looked at me. You didn't say a word, but it was a conversation. I know you probably
Mm-hmm.
say, people say I'm crazy. My memory is crazy. And you
Mm-hmm.
looked at me, and that day you said, "That's what I'm talking about." Because we knew
Mm-hmm.
we had to get him right. But he said, and I always knew that's what I felt about my team. I always knew what my role was on
Mm-hmm.
a leadership tip. And
Mm-hmm.
and I look back, like you was talking about the tip sheets. I'm looking back. We had the signs in the locker room. How we would hit them before practice,
Mm-hmm.
after practice, and before the game. Reading our goals before every practice. Reading our goals at lunchtime. Now, people watching this, he was a probation officer. He did not work at the school as a faculty or staff. He was our coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what he instilled in us, we read our goals every day at lunchtime. People thought we was crazy. People was
Mm-hmm.
like, and we read our goals, all this came from you. The visualization techniques you taught us, writing affirmations, which I still do to this day. I mean, it's like everything that you did, like taking Tai Chi. You brought Tai Chi. We were doing Tai Chi. The countless speakers. I'm gonna tell you something. I know you're gonna remember when I put it. When you took us to see this brother, Aluna Karinga.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I never heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't take all of us. You took about 6 of us. And
Mm-hmm.
also Naim Akbar.
Yes.
I remember all of that. I remember you giving us the book, The 7-Day Mental Diet. And
Yes.
I remember you said before you try it, kind of look at it, you got to kind of meditate before you do it because it's hard. I,
Mm-hmm.
I only did it 2 times in my life because other times I will fall off. But it
Mm-hmm.
taught me a toughness. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take you back here. You personally gave me a book.
Mm-hmm.
This book here, The Greatest
Yeah.
Sales in the World by Og Mandino.
Yes.
This book I love, and I had to get another one because I had it so much. It was paperback. So
Mm-hmm.
when I look back at all those things, people don't understand outside of the program
Mm-hmm.
what you were really, really doing. The level of I mean, just really creating men. And I've
Mm-hmm.
taken so much of that in my career and coaching and just everything. My love for the youth. I've been educated this year 28, but I've taken those type of things because I see the power
Mm-hmm.
and the long lasting power of
Yes.
what you was doing. So, and what progress you do at that time, did you know really in real time the
Mm-hmm.
impact that you were making on us that was going to carry us on for a lifetime?
You don't know those things, but what you know is you're thriving. uh you're hoping that you know that if you can buy these things, you know where it's going to lead. See, you know that's why they were given to you. You know that if you did those things, and I saw how those things work for me personally.
Yes,
You see
yes,
what I'm saying? And so my thing was that whatever I had, I needed to give to you so you have that opportunity. And remember, like anything, if you buy in, then you can see it. You have
yes,
to, it's like developing a skill. That skill, you must get inside that skill and then let it grow. Nobody can tell you that from the outside. You have to become that. And once you become that and let that, not only will you get just that skill, but you will see all other possibilities because
absolutely.
a portal would open up that would show you all those things.
Yes,
It's like the law of increasing return. I can 1 grain of corn would make a field of cornstalk.
yes,
That's called the law of increasing return. So if you can just grab hold of this, once those portals open up, there's all kind of possibilities. All kind of
yes.
those now those who don't do it, they gonna see a lot of possibilities that they didn't really want.
Right,
Also,
right,
what
absolutely. Yeah,
happened,
absolutely.
so once you buy into
Yes,
understanding that,
yes.
so I knew that because I have saw those things happening. I've been to Og Mandino's. I saw him twice in Detroit.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I've seen Milana Karinga 100 times. And those things. And I knew that once you get that, the see the psychology is not the psychology I think that we learn in school. It's a different kind of psychology because you
Yes.
understanding how the brain works, you're understanding how in context how one learns, but you also have to learn as things are appropriate and for a black life. You see, a black life is different growing up in this environment than other lives, or
Yes.
other ethnic group lives. And so there's unique experiences we have to have because there's a lot of things that's coming at us that we have to kind of filter away. But this, when you set goals, that gives you your purpose. And my whole thing was philosophically was to help to try to guide your behavior and then give you some views and values that you can see if you do certain things how they will work out. And that's the long lasting thing that we're talking about, because once you see it working, you're gonna develop a philosophy for that, like you did.
Yes.
You're gonna
Yes.
see it's gonna shape your view in terms of how you want to work with young people. It's going to help you
Absolutely.
instill your values in terms of the kind of values that you want to have. Because even with all the, if every in a perfect situation, what makes it perfect is the imperfection of it.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's where you get your resiliency and so
Absolutely.
you go through setbacks and suffering. You can, no matter what it is, once you get that ground, that floor and under you, you can bounce back. And that's the way life is, because you're gonna have some difficulties no matter what.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
don't care who you are, you're gonna have some difficulties. So that's the answer to your question. I knew that just giving you the like 7-day mental diet. I have another book upstairs, a little pamphlet just like that one that deals with just a 30-day mental thing. But my whole thing is dealing with that part of it. When you see people doing like Steph Curry, the way he shoots, that's mental.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? To
Yes.
just to have the gauze just to launch a 40-foot shot, knowing that it's going in, and to do
Yes.
it over and over and over again. And so the repetition for the body is just the physical part is just one phase. But the biggest part is what you do with your head.
Yes.
So if you can captivate that, it's on.
And coach, and this is what I always wondered. Now, everybody, BB, know what this is. That the athletic edge,
Mm-hmm.
by you. This is your work here. My
Mm-hmm.
first question:
But
Did you?
Larry Besanson and he assembled and put a lot of those pieces in there. He the one
Okay.
did assemble that.
Okay.
Uh,
And hold on, you know what?
yeah.
That's another thing. And it's funny because people who's outside of the program, like who's Larry Besanson?
Mm-hmm.
Larry Besanson was so much in our program.
Mm-hmm.
Larry was man. Larry was so awesome, and I remember when he got on us, and this was my junior year. Like we talking about, we was about championships,
Mm-hmm.
and we was 16-7. Any other program, like, hey, that's still you way over 500. We lost
Mm-hmm.
in the districts, and I never forget Art Neal on the news when I was watching the highlights, and they beat us. And I remember this is what Art Neal said: "Does Buena Vista miss Mark Macon or what?" Because Mark was at Temple first year. That stuck with me when he
Mm-hmm.
said that. And praise God for Mark. Mark was the face of our program.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, we hooping too. And for me, I don't know if any other player felt this. This is what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I had an obligation to keep this thing going forward. That's how
Yeah.
I felt. And I
Yeah.
felt I let the program down, let you down. And I remember how angry, well, it wasn't more of an anger with Larry. It was more of a hurt because
Mm-hmm.
he knew what you had put in us, and we
Mm-hmm.
didn't, it's not the fact that we lost. It
Mm-hmm.
was the way we lost. It was like no fight. It wasn't classic BV. So I just want to
Mm-hmm.
give a shout out to Larry Besanson for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But like that thing with the athletic edge, did you ever try to market that in terms for the masses?
No, no, I
Yeah.
didn't try. We had the athletic edge, and we had the mental training booklet, and you had
Yes.
the other physical booklet that we had that deals with, just doing drills and so forth. But
Yes.
what I did though was Sonny Vaquero ran the ABCD camp,
Yes.
and he wanted that. He wanted those booklets for the players each year. So he paid me to duplicate those books
Okay.
each year for the ABCD camp, and I kind of sold them around just around
Yes.
the Michigan area, but not trying to do anything with it, like publicize it, copyright it, and that, because it was really done for you guys, not really for anyone
Yes.
else. I just shared it with other folks.
And what's awesome about that, people, I didn't open it up. People may think it's really not actually not a basketball book.
No,
I
no,
mean, it's
it
mental,
deals with yeah,
nutrition. Nutrition
yes.
was in it. It was, yeah. So I thought that was very, very awesome. And
And
now
then we had the different players wrote things in it also.
testimonials, coach.
A
And I'm
testimonial.
well, two things right now. Your special thanks section, when the year after when my name got into special thanks, you have no
Mhm,
idea what that did. I was showing my mom, said, look here. And you know what? I was saying, Coach, let me write it a testimonial for the two.
mhm,
I wasn't good with
mhm,
math, but I always could write. But yeah, so I remember Mark had one. I think Henry Rance had a testimony there. So I actually wanted, but the fact when I got in the special thanks section of that made me very, very proud. I was very proud
and of
to be in
course,
there.
don't forget, you didn't name Pee Wee Damon. I've
Listen,
been all over the world. I didn't put
listen,
him off.
man. I was so what I hit him up recently. I said, brother, I got to get you on. But ours, he said, talk to me after the Olympics. So we're gonna
Mhm,
try to work that out. Yeah, Damon, like
yeah.
yeah, because he was another one because he would come down the house, knock the door, take the ball out. He thought we would just play. But you know what, coach, and but I didn't see him too much after like 93, 94. That's when I wanted him to come back because I
Mhm.
wanted to play him then.
No.
That and listen, hey, during that time, I got stronger. I was kind of arrogant,
Uh-huh.
playing pro am. I was down
Uh-huh.
there playing pro am, and like I said, people will say I'm crazy, but this is factual. The way I was guarding Glenn Rice, Glenn Rice scored on me because he was
Mhm.
6'8".
Yeah.
That's why he scored on me. But
Right.
yeah, so absolutely. Now most people get statues and gym names after them after several years. You
Mhm.
wasn't there long before they named the gymnasium after you.
Mhm.
So how did that come about? Did they call you, let you know? Did they surprise you?
Well, first of all, Dr. Easton was the principal then, and
Yes,
he approached me and asked me what did I think about that. I said, really, I don't want that. I'm not coaching for that sort of thing. He said,
yes,
no, but you deserve that. I said, well, if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you not to do it. He said, well, it ain't your choice. I'm gonna do it anyway. Because I kind of I shy away from personal recognition. I had enough of that.
yeah,
Everything to me was for the young people. That was for
yes,
them, for you guys. So, but he pulled it off. I mean, and it wasn't like it was difficult. He just said that's what he was going to do. Like Dr. Easton did things. He was a basketball guy. He played college basketball, high school basketball. He tried to get me to come to was it was it Gary, Indiana? Anyway, my wife and we met him in Indiana. He wanted me to introduce me to them. He knew I wasn't going to leave Buena Vista, but he said,
yeah,
"Come down here. I want you to come here."
yes,
But I wasn't going. So I met with some people there, CNI down in Indiana. I said, "Man, I'm not. There's nothing could pull me away from Buena Vista. I mean, I'm at the for me the perfect job for me,
yes,
coaching, and so that was the end. But Dr. Easton, after he left, he followed me until I was done, So, but yeah, that's he was the catalyst behind that.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know that's not really what you do. I know that's not what you did it for, but I really think he was well deserved because, like I said, how we became a basketball power and one of respect, and we wore that badge proudly.
Hmm.
Now, so obviously you became in the Hall of Fame of Saginaw Valley Athletics. Then you
Hmm.
became in the Hall of Fame for Saginaw County Sports. Obviously,
Hmm.
again, I know that still was uncomfortable for you too.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm asking. How did you feel when my little sister, Erin, became
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame in Saginaw to the first and maybe only daughter father combo in the Saginaw Sports Hall of Fame? How did that make you feel?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've always been proud of Erin. She's a only child, and she grew up around you guys, and you know, uh, you guys helped shape her, helped mold her, and help her to become that person. And so I've, we have a tremendous love affair. And I mean, I talk to Aaron 2 and 3 times a day right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we just, it was very special. It was special because, when people get awards, that's the only time people see them. They don't see what helped mold them and
Yes,
all of those practices that she
yes,
attended. You know what I'm saying? That's how she got that. That was
yes,
you guys, and all of you guys was part of that. And sometimes that go grossly ignored when somebody's getting an award. Those people that help to shape a personality, help shape their identity. Aaron played. I remember she played for Boo Williams. You ever heard of him?
yeah, yep, yep,
Played for
yep.
him. He needed a guard, and they had Lakeisha Fred, who was on the same All American team with Aaron, and she was the captain of the All American team. But Aaron played with her, and when Aaron started playing with her immediately, she was just getting her customary 25 a game. It didn't matter. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes,
so
yes,
when she playing with Lakeisha Fred, they were Boo Williams was bragging about her, but a guy Dan Durkin was from Duquesne. He knew about Aaron. He knew he wasn't going to get her, but he put that situation together. So Aaron was everywhere she went and she played. She stood out. Even when she was 13 years old, playing at the youth for the sport festival trial with all of
yes,
those college girls, 250 girls, she still makes the final 15. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
So I mean, but that was because she knew how to purport herself because of the grooming she had around you guys.
She put the time in, and we would always say, because like you said in elementary school, like I said, when she was playing with us, and we didn't take it easy on her,
No.
and
Mhm.
it's like we was talking. I said, man, when she played girls, well, Lord have mercy, it's gonna be ice cream. She gonna be just taking ice
Mhm.
cream because she been playing with the young men all the time. So, and I'm so proud of her to see where because but see, for like you said, I saw the work. She's always
Yes.
done this, so it's not surprising. I mean, I said
Mhm.
because I think her freshman year she was at Northwestern, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
we went to, because Saginaw
Start
didn't start to the 10th grade. And
right,
it didn't make any sense for her to play with she played 2 years at Central. It was ridiculous for her to be playing there at the ninth.
absolutely,
I mean, here she
absolutely,
goes to the number one team in the state, Northwestern at the time, and was first team all state with those girls
right,
as
absolutely.
a freshman. As a freshman.
Yeah,
So I
yes,
mean, it just didn't make any sense. I mean,
right,
but I had to go to the board to get them to change their policy for her as a seventh grader to play with the eighth graders,
yeah. See,
the eighth and
yes,
ninth grade. You see what I'm saying? So,
right,
uh, I just think that she played there. Erin is a Saginaw High student through and through.
yes,
There's
yes,
no way she's gonna stay there beyond the ninth grade.
right,
You see, so did we,
right,
my wife, she moved. They moved down right across the street from Northwestern, and that was it. She went for the year, but
yes,
she can't come back here. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So
Shout
yeah,
out to Aaron.
I'm very proud of her, and always I'm
Abs-
proud of her in all her endeavors. As a teacher, she's always wanted to be a teacher. Now she's just took a new position as a math coach.
yes,
So she's now in administration. So uh, I like that. I like her progress. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm gonna get you out of here soon, but like I said, this is awesome. We can go forever, but
Yes.
there's a couple of quick things. You tell me what come to mind. Uh, this young brother here, Archie Tullis.
Yes. Archie's unbelievable. Archie is one of the finest young men
Yes,
to be involved with. I haven't had much. I've had before his father passed. We had a lot of contact. You know, we all bought his father and I bought 10 speeds, and we did a lot of bicycling up in Midland in our 10 speeds. No, I'm sorry, the road bikes, not 10 speed, but they were 18 gear. So
yes, yes, yes,
uh, but Archie was just fabulous, and he set the table. He and Steve Coleman kind of set the table
yes,
uh,
absolutely.
for the things that we end up experiencing. And because at practice, they had to sit out a year, but I mean a semester, but at practice, they gave. You should have saw. I mean, ask any of those guys. Ask Eric about the way Archie's uniform. I mean, practice uniform at the practice. He just drenched. Steve, they drenched, and they said, "Man, these guys work hard. We know we got to kick up." He had a
Yes,
tremendous influence with Mark. They set the table, and once they set that table, we it was on. You know, so Archie was a great student. You know how important it was for us academically, and he was a great student, and he just was a good example. And I'll love him forever for what he did, and then just the commitment that his family had to leave St. Mary's. He was all state there, and
yes.
then come right over to Buena Vista, right with us. Then no was no hesitation.
Absolutely. We had in my church we had two churches, and a smaller church was like 8 miles where Archie lived in Schaumburg. So
Uh
I hit
huh.
him up. I said, why don't you come down? Because this time I drove up there. We take a bus. It was third Sunday, and
Uh
he
huh.
came. And
Okay.
me and Archie did a few years back. So yeah,
Hmm.
awesome brother. Always had a lot of respect. One day,
Yeah.
summer practice, we was in college, me and Johnny, we was stretching. And Archie
Hmm.
was there, and he was just working out shooting. And like he hit like, and I'm not exaggerating, 25 to 30 in a row. He was doing
Yes.
the elbow to elbow, but he was doing it from three. So we
Hmm.
was, we young, we still like we just in awe of somebody. So we
Hmm.
at the practice, and Johnny said, he said, did you see that? I said, no, did you? I said, did you see it? I said,
Hmm.
that's sucker didn't miss. So yeah, so we always had so much respect for him.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, now
Hmm.
obviously, this individual here, Mark
Oh yeah.
Macon.
Yeah. Mark was we were close from day one. You know, he spent a lot of time here. We did a lot of things together, just he and I. We did a lot of movies. I mean, riding to Detroit, and I remember telling Mark, I said, "We're going to go to Detroit." I said, "If you can get your shot off there, if you can get, say, if you can get about 8 to 10 points, 12," I said, "You'll be a player." I said, "But we finna go in, and we going in the devil's den now."
Saint Cecilia.
Yes. And so Mark proved right away that he had it in him. And there were only a few times I would have to check him, like I would say, you're slowing down or you're not doing this. But other than that, for 4 years, nobody beat him in no suicide. For four
Wow.
years. He wouldn't let it happen. And Mark came to me one day and he said, "Coach, do you think I can be a pro?" I said, "Yeah, I believe you can." I said, "But you got to do everything that you're supposed to do, and the things that I give you." I said, "You got a tremendous shot at being a pro. There's no question about that." I could see little things that he had. Quick feet, quick hands. He can shoot. He had good ball handling skills, and he can get to the basket. And that he had a real good mid-range shot. I said that'll get you there, but you got to be in the right place. I
Yes.
asked him, "Well, where you want to go to school at?" He said, "Well, I like Louisville." I said, "But I said, how you feel about playing for a black coach?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "So there's two. There's John Thompson
Yes.
and there's John Chaney." And I said, and I'm gonna go visit both of them. And so I flew to DC, and it took me. I met with John Thompson for about 4 hours, but 2 of the first hours he'd had me sitting there, and then he just waiting. I said, "What this cat doing?" And so he just had me, and so he knew I was uncomfortable with. I mean, you and we set this up, and I'm here. He had uh, the lady that sits on the end of the bench come in. He had the coach that took his place, the white coach that took his place for a while. He spent some time with me. I saw video. He had me watching some tapes. Cheney did. He did lectures for AT&T, and he was very elegant in his
Okay.
delivery. And so I looked at those, and then he came in and spent the last 2 hours, and I looked at him, and we took pictures. I had a big picture in the house with he and
I remember that. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And but he was but the thing that he said, well, if Mark come here, he's got to earn blah, 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 blah. I knew then that was going to be tough. Why? Because he's going to favor the local kid. He's
Yeah. Right.
he's from that area. He's entrenched there. So now we goes to Philadelphia, and I knew Cheney because I tried to get Brian Booker to go to Cheney State when he was at Cheney.
Okay.
And that didn't work out. And so, but I always kept him in mind. So he never even heard of Mark,
Oh,
and
wow.
so he talked to what's his name? He used to the coach Roy Marble at Iowa.
Oh yeah. You talking about hello. No, you're not talking about Dr. Tom Davis. You're talking about
the black coach.
The black coach ended up going to USC.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
And he said,
Radley. George Radley. Yeah.
George said that you talked to Norwaine about Mark. He said, you don't know who Mark is? He said, first of all, you got to know that if Norwaine calling you, you got to take it serious. He's a different kind of person.
Yeah.
He said, man, that's what Cheney was telling me. So he started looking up Mark, and he never had an All-American before. And he said, man, this guy's calling me. He said, man, so he called me and he said, I'm coming out there to check with him. And so he said, do I need to romance him? I said, it's not about all that. We recruiting you. You're not recruiting us. And I told Mark that about the situation at Georgetown. I told him because we're looking for fit. Fit is extremely important. I did a better job with him than I did with Aaron. But the fit was really important. And it was important for Mark. Mark needed somebody that's going to put their arms around him right away. And so Sean decided to go to sign with Temple before Mark.
Okay.
And then Mark said that he was going. And he told Mark, he said, look, you come into Temple, he said, if you off the back, if you want 25 shots a game, you can take those. And if that ain't enough, I'll give you more. And that was it. There was history now.
Wow.
Just think that Mark has Temple has been part of his life, his coaching life, his life since then. So that's what fit will do for you. And that's what I mean by portals opening up.
Absolutely. And it's funny. This here, see, people are like, yeah, Mark on this, but see, again, I just thought things differently. Yeah, it's Mark. Ironically, he's being guarded by Tillman from Georgetown. Ironically. But by him being in that triple threat, to me, this is a BV cover. Because he in the triple threat. That's BV. That's Buena Vista.
Yes,
that picture, and obviously the photographer just taking a picture. He didn't know what he was capturing. Just like the famous Muhammad Ali that is to me, and what leads to me. That's how I always look. That's why I love this cover, because this is a BV cover. So I just always look at that. Now you mentioned Sean, but I think it's also always a lot overlooked. So let's talk a little bit about Sean Randolph.
Sean is was one of my when he liked Mark. He was around. He was one of my favorite. Like you and Johnny, them, and but they were. He was around me a lot, and uh, I just thought Sean. See, Sean, quite honestly, didn't have the picture of what he could be, nor did he had that work ethic. Not that
Okay.
he didn't work, but I'm saying when you it's just not a work ethic. It's work with an intention that you know
Okay.
where it's going to end up at. But physically, his physical attributes, his smartness on the floor. I
Yeah.
remember, I don't know whether it was with you guys that he came back to practice and the things that he was doing on the floor. It was that year where Tempo, they had a lot of injuries and Sean played a lot.
Yes.
He's smart. He was just doing different things that to show you what he had. But
Yes.
I just think that uh, he didn't have this feeling that I can do something with this because I believe that Sean could have played a lot of years overseas, a lot of
Mhm.
years overseas. But Sean had tremendous upside, tremendous
Yes.
ability, just size. He could jump, and that the other thing. Uh, and we had this, but in another era of us, you can't when you're a player, you can't ever compare yourself with anybody else but yourself.
Right. Right.
The moment you start comparing yourself with someone else, you just degraded your
Yeah.
abilities. You don't know that, but
Yeah.
psychologically, you've done that. And so, and that's what occurred because he saw Mark, but he couldn't see himself.
Mhm.
You need to see yourself. See, you saw yourself. You didn't see Johnny Connick.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you got to see to yourself, to see your possibility. It has nothing to do with anybody else. And only you can do that. And we had a lot of conversations over and over and over. I say it's not about you and Mark. It's about what you get. What you get. Can you get your God-given things that God has given you? Can you get that? Can you reach that capacity? It has
Yes.
nothing to do. But that from where I'm sitting, it may sound easy. From where he's sitting, he can't grasp that. You
Right.
have to you have to buy what someone is telling you, get deeply inside that, and let that grow from inside. Then you can see your possibility.
Yes.
And
Like I
that
said,
was
that was
that
him.
was his thing.
Yeah. The
But
comparison is the thief of joy. It,
yes,
it is.
yeah,
It is. And yeah. And Sean. Yeah. And Sean was just a dog. He was a dog. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah. He
so
had tremendous.
I'm gonna do some flashes real quick.
Uh-huh.
Just a couple players real quick. Um, Chester Searles, real quick.
Well, Chet fell in the same category
Yeah,
that Sean fell in. He kept
listen, that's why I put
now,
yes,
now, you had a year, of a freshman year before Terrence even got there and you started. He started all 4 years.
yes,
You see what I'm saying? And that may have been to his detriment. I should have probably set both of them down, but he could not get Terrence out of his head. He couldn't get him out of his head. And that shortchanged his possibility. And even though you give them examples and show them, they can't see it. They get once you get up, it's like you get addicted to that mindset. But Chet had they when they recruited Chet, listen to this. They recruited Chet in Nebraska, and that's where he went. So they also flew me in that fall to lecture.
okay,
And
oh,
so
okay,
I'm getting ready to lecture, and Sean runs. Chet runs out on the floor with his shirt out, his pants. Shoes untied. That's not Buena Vista.
that's not being a vista,
I
right?
pulled him to the side. I said, "Hey, man, you don't run out like that. What are you doing?" I said, "The same things that you had, you gotta build on that. You can't start different now. You trying to be somebody else. You ain't trying to be like somebody else." I said, "You remember when I was telling you about being so upset with Terrence? You never could find yourself. You ain't spend enough time with yourself. You see?" And then as things went on, it went downhill. They felt Chet had pro potential, man. They
Listen,
that.
Coach, absolutely.
They said,
He
man, all
was,
he got to do
yeah.
is just stay in touch.
Oh, he was
But
legit 6'8",
yeah,
could handle. And it's funny, and for people to understand, like, what are you talking about the shoes? I'm tell you something. We had practice uniform. Every single practice, no one's shirt was untucked.
that's right.
It just that. I mean, it was just known. Everyone, when you see pictures, say, "Well, you take no." At practice, everyone. That's just how it was. So yeah, I always had a lot of love because Chet was like, yeah, okay. Then like we talking about Terrence, okay, T Rowe.
T. Rowe was he had a tremendous potential, but T. Rowe was embedded in terms of he could never find himself because he's too embedded in what's outside of it. He had to be liked. He had that, but basketball, he did some tremendous things. Now, I must tell you though, Terrence played with Cedric Merle.
So, okay, yeah, we'll get to
Cedric Merle
let's coach.
Such a player. We never lost a game with him, and that's really a lot of the recognition the Terrence got should have gone to Cedric, but because he was tall, that sales, that's media hype, he got a lot of play that he shouldn't. There was no way that, quite honestly, that Terrence should have been a 3-time All-American with Cedric Merrill on the team, who was the leading scorer on the team. We never lost a game with him. He can get
55-1.
He can, but he played team basketball and he made everybody else look good. Simple as that.
Yeah. And I would see Terrence, and you know what, and also like you said to me, Terrence, he understood like the entertainment of basketball. He was like a star. His smile, his personality. Terrence had everything to do it. Like when you mentioned, and I was gonna get to Sam Morrell. Listen, I would talk about, and I still feel this to this day. Now, I haven't been around Michael Jordan. I haven't been around Kobe Bryant. I haven't been around them. People that I've been around, Cedric might be the best basketball player I've ever been around. I mean, just in my, like I said, of course, is it subjective? Absolutely subjective.
Yes.
But his ability to pass and everything, and it was, you would think it was nonchalant, but he was, because like I said, so what you were saying about Terrence and Chet, because like I said, the game, like I told people that I knew that stat. He's only playing, that there was 55-1 in 2 years, and the one game lost to Northern. I was home, me and Purvis Jackson, rest in peace. We drove to that game when Said did not play. That game against Flint Northern. So when I look at that, and I was like, wow. And that's what, to go back what you were saying, and I name all these players, of course, like the Sean Randolphs, the Archie Tullis, the Mark Makers, the Sid Morrells, T. Rowe. Those are, in terms of the media, those are the sexy names. Sexy names. But for me, I will ride and die with these cats here. This 89 team. Now, am I biased? Absolutely. But my biasness has validity. Every game I just felt comfortable because one, when I had Sean, he brought. I remember when Tony Coleman, my man, well, this is real. Another time you called me to the house early morning, and we was asking about, and he was like, "Hey, how you feel about?" And I was serious. When Tony's out there, I really didn't know what he was going to do. But Sean, as a sophomore, brought a calmness to us.
Yes.
And, and then Jack.
Yes.
Cosby's teammate, knew he was going to rebound, knew he had good hands, he was going to finish, and he loved Blue Pride, which was so important to me, to have guys with me that's gonna, that's gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? It was gonna fight. And I'm looking here, and I don't see my boy. I know I put him up here. I do not see him, but I'm put him on the full screen here. This brother here, Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith was he
Yes.
played so did not talk. People didn't know. Played
Yes.
so hard, and he
Yes.
just was a killer. He just was a killer, and I
Yes, he
just
was.
and I just
Yes.
loved T. Smith. I mean, and
Yes.
like so I'm looking around. We said, I'm like, man, people are in trouble. People are in
Yes.
trouble when they play us, and of course, my dog Johnny kind of scoring machine. I say drill master. No one did
Yes.
drills and had the look that looked like him doing
Yes.
drills. And
Yes.
I just understood. I understood my role then. I knew I was a leader. I knew if they needed me to score, I could score. I knew I could pass. I knew I could defend. So
Yes.
I try to keep. And in fact, even our crew now with me, Jack, Johnny, and Brian Casey, I'm
Yeah.
like I told them, I said I'm not going to continue to organize everything we do now as as men. I think y'all going to take some of this burden. But
Right.
that team to me, I think is the most underappreciated, under
Yes.
talked about championship team. And it's great because it wasn't Mark Macon, it wasn't Sean Randolph, it wasn't these sexy names, and I
Yeah.
just love that squad.
Yeah. That, and I do too. And what you might not n- know is that nobody had a banquet at Buena Vista that even rivals the one that you guys had. Nobody. I mean,
Yes,
nobody got jackets. Nobody
right,
got
right,
rings. You guys were
yes,
special, and I mean, you had dignitaries show up from the State Department.
yes,
I mean, you hear me,
yes,
Blanchard. All these people
yes,
was at the scene. There's no other banquet was like that. None.
yes,
You see, but people knew how I feel about you guys, and I mean, in terms of teamwork, in terms of loving and caring for each other, it was second to none. Second to none. You see what I'm saying? And
mhm.
I mean, we had Jamel on the team that had potential, didn't even play much.
Absolutely,
Didn't even play
absolutely,
much, and
absolutely,
his college coach said that when he went to he was at Barber Scotia, whatever the school
yeah,
said, he ended up being at I met him when they flew me down to when the coach was at Livingston, because I helped him get a player from that ended up being All-American that went to the Heritage, and but they flew me down, and then when he said that no player he had that he can think of played in that tournament as well as Jamel. And I said, Jamel didn't even play much for us
yeah,
until his senior year. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So we just had we just but you guys represented us the kind of attitude that was just unbelievable. And people talk about the greatness of a coach, but if the coach don't have players to buy in, he just a coach, just a coach,
absolutely,
but they might know some things, but the players have to like one another. They have to behave a certain way. They have to value certain things. And if you just look at you guys, just take a look at you guys' arms in those pictures. Just look at
yeah,
those and see how, I mean, just and look at some of the pictures, how developed. I mean, this is a fine looking group, man.
yeah,
Look
yes,
at that.
sir,
The neatness of that group and the definiteness of purpose behind those guys. This is a special group, man. I mean,
yes, sir,
we had talent those others a lot of years. That group had talent, but they had a certain kind of stick to itiveness, a certain kind of sureness and definiteness and purpose. And that's why I look at these guys every day, and it's just amazing. I have so much respect, Danye, for the things that you did while you was at school, the leadership qualities that you had, because you don't get places when you got without players like that to have that kind of personality, that kind of, like, I know my place, I know what I can do this and that. I mean, now I don't know if you remember this, but I asked you, I thought you guys could have made a run the year before, but
yes,
somehow somehow this not to take away from Chris Schaefer, but you guys kind of thought that Schaefer was too into himself, and
Listen,
he done a good job as a coach and so forth. But as a player,
absolutely.
but once he was gone, you guys settled in your own personalities, and we were off to the races, brother.
Coach,
Now we
it's
only lost 3 games that year, right?
where our senior year?
Yeah, I think
Four.
you guys lost. We lost
Four.
4. We did
Yep,
4.
we
Okay.
lost to we lost to Heritage, Mount Pleasant, Flint Northern, and I'm gonna tell you because we did. I'm for sure we lost 4. Oh my mind, I'm good. Hold up,
We lost
because
to
it was
Heritage or Mount
at the
Pleasant.
buzzer. No, we lost to Mount Pleasant the first time. We lost to Mount
Okay.
Pleasant, Heritage, Flint Northern. Yeah, we lost to Heritage at the buzzer. 61-60. Over
Okay.
there. I was
Okay.
sick. I was sick.
Okay.
And I remember I was on the ground like this and it was the news and you got so bad. You like, man, get up. Don't be showing them that you're upset. But yeah, but it's ironic you're talking about Schaefer because they had the all class speed reunion this June and I went. It was awesome. And it was great because all the older players was paying homage to the players that were before them. Mark was really telling a lot of guys, hey, that was older than him. But me and Andre Wharton had this same conversation. And Chris, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
It
yeah,
is.
we didn't have a respect for Chris because we remember we used to have to come to the CAC for study hall,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris stood up and said, y'all gonna respect me. He was talking crazy, and I'm like, dude, and Dre Water was like, man, I let y'all. I said, Dre, we would have listened to you because we had a respect for Dre. Then after we lost, me, Jack, and Johnny talked. I said, this ain't happening next year.
Right.
Period. And I remember the next year we didn't go to St. Cecilia. We did number
Uh-huh.
fundamentals. And I'm telling you, so we were upset. We wanted to go.
Uh-huh.
But in hindsight, looking back, you took us all the way back basically from the fundamental side. And I still watch the state championship. They got on YouTube now from time to time. I show my students. And I love when we do rotation. You pass one way, you see the V cut, everyone cut, everybody catching triple threat. It's almost like precision. And I remember we averaged 79 points a game a year. And I remember practice, we would have to pass 50 times without a shot. I'm like, man, why are we doing this for that game? Because
Yes.
they definitely wasn't expecting that from a black team too.
Right.
From
Right.
the black team. So I
Yeah.
look at that and I say, man, Coach, that was just your foresight. Your foresight was awesome. And I'm gonna tell you some, Coach. This is like the longest interview. But I told myself I'm not gonna put a time limit on it because it's so much. But I want, like I told you on the phone, first, obviously I want the world to know who don't know who you are. But I want you to know, I know I speak for every BB player, the St. Mary's player, every Saginaw Valley player, every kid that you came that you even mentored. What you have done, like I call myself a farmer. I grow man fruit. And
Yes.
that's what you have done. And Coach, I want to tell you, I love you. I thank you.
I love
I
you
still
too,
I still write goals. I still have affirmations. And I was invited to this coaching clinic to do a segment, and it was based off what I've learned from you, and I called it building the community of the team.
Yes.
And what I did, and I learned all that from you. I understand the importance of it. So I just want to say I thank you because it's 8 here, so I know it's 9 your time, and I thank you. I thank Ms. Reed for letting you stay up this late with me, and but I just definitely wanted to get you on. But if you wanted to leave the audience with anything, it could be about life. What would you tell the audience?
I would just tell them that we in a day a time in our history, particularly with youngsters, where they don't have the resiliency that I thought that many of you guys have. They don't have being able to get up when things go bad. And I would just think that if we could, that's out there that are working with young people, work on not giving them so many things so that they'll learn that they can suffer and then get up and get through things. And so we with the social media, Kids can just play basketball and then do a tape of themselves and make themselves believe that they're better than what they are.
Yes.
The last 2 years I run a 3x3. Yeah, you familiar with that? That's what
Mm.
Damon coached in the Olympics, the 3x3. And
Oh, okay.
that's like 3-on-3, but it's much more difficult to play that. I've gone to Europe. I was in Europe with him last year when they took third in the world, and then I went to Amsterdam before. I've been I visited with Damon in Southeast Asia. My wife we've been 2 weeks over in Australia. So because he's obviously one of my favorite, and
Yes.
so he turned me on to 3x3. So I run a camp. I run a camp here every July. I run a basketball lab at the BB Center every Saturday. Now, it's amazing how in this day where parents would allow children to sign up for things, but they
Yeah.
never show up. Never
Oh,
show up.
absolutely.
So I just think that if we can get back to that, it will be a tremendous help to the development of our young people. And I would just hope that would happen, and happen soon, because things are very difficult, and we don't like to talk about those things, but they're very difficult for our young people to develop and grow into to fine human beings. And I would just hope that somehow would happen, and that we take the lives of young people very seriously, because what kind of people are they going to be for our future if we don't do that
Absolutely.
today? I really believe in early learning, that the earlier you can get with and work with young people, the better they'll be off, the better they'll be off in the future, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
So
And real quick,
that's what I would want to, the message I would want to give to people.
so Coach, so you say you do a Saturday lab?
It's a basketball lab, and we just you Darvin Ham's little son,
Hmm.
is he's grandson is in it. He's 10 now. We have a few other kids. What I did was, those kids who was at the summer camp that came every day, they
Yes.
immediately moved over to the lab. If you didn't come every day, you weren't going to get to, you can't go to the lab. Only those kids. And so 3 kids, they were there every day, and they came to the camp, and they came to the lab, and we do life type stuff, and we do basketball. We interwoven those things together with basketball and life type things, and we do that every Saturday from 10 to 12 or 10 to 11:30.
Okay, Saginaw people, I want y'all to hear what he just said. I'm gonna tell you this. Am I biased? But I don't steer children, because children are my business. This is what I
Mhm.
do. If I'm telling you, if you have an aspiring child, not just in sports, but just if you are, and this is free.
Free. Everything we do, we
Okay,
run a free camp,
see,
2 weeks free camp in July. Last year we had 17 to sign up for the 2 weeks. 4 came every day. 4. This year we had 12 sign up. The most we had every day for 6. We do 3 days, do it the week after. And this is outside. We have an outside facility. I don't know if you ever seen it at 7th and James. It's second to none.
oh no, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh yeah, we did. They have 2 courts. Second, they paint. It's unbelievable. The the green, it's unbelievable. It's at the church. The facility is run by New Life Ministries, and
Okay.
we do it there for 2 weeks, 3 days each week, from 10 to 12, and we just work on fundamentals. We talk. They have reversible jerseys. They get. I mean, it's just beautiful. We had 3x3 balls, and we teach them the 3x3 game.
Yeah. Now see, Saginaw, now you hear this, but like my mom used to say, I can give you the food, but I can't make you eat it.
Can't make you eat it.
So this opportunity is there. Trust me. Like I said, what this man has done throughout his career, and I see he's still doing it because I know your love of teaching. Hey, you definitely need to try to get with Coach Reed. Coach, thank you so much. And I'm telling you, you look good too, Coach. You look good.
Thank you for having me.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Yes. I know you eating right. I know you're probably still walking. You're doing your thing.
I works out at the Y.
Okay.
3 days, and then I'm at there every morning at 5, and I do the Peloton 3 days. So 6 days, and I work out, and I have one recovery day.
Oh, awesome.
Every day. And yes, I try to eat well, and I do the best I can in that area, without question.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna shoot this out. Thank you again, Coach. This is Coach Norwaine, the man, the coach, the legend. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Ye, for having me. I appreciate that. Also, text me the how I could show other people. Some other people said that they wanted to see this, so I could how I can get them to see that.
Okay, yeah, I do my little edited piece, and I will definitely get that to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Coach.
Give my love to Jack, and Casey them too. Okay.
Yeah, definitely will.
Tell them I think about them. Did you know that Casey had a jacket for me, Buena Vista jacket made for me?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Beautiful leather jacket, man.
Yes,
and I appreciate them. Okay, but make sure you tell them I love them. Okay.
I definitely will, Coach.
Okay. Take care now.
All right. You too. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Just like I said, he's awesome. I owe so much to him, and I'm thankful because sometimes God put people in your life that you don't even know why he do. And I just wanted to show him, just give him his flowers, like they say, as we can smell them. And maybe you guys learn something. I told you, my podcast, I'm only going to put people in here, people I respect, people I've learned something from, or people that I find interesting. He is all those things encompassed in one. So shout out. Remember, y'all subscribe to my channel. It's Some Every Yay is the podcast. You must go to YouTube, go to Danye F. Jones. Much love to y'all. I know it was long, but hey, I'm not going to shortchange my coach because he's done too much for me. And hope y'all enjoyed it. And catch me on Friday for another Friday Fable. Deuces. Holla.
Things going on in the world today. Every time Dick and Harry got something to say, but what they said ain't got no fabric to it. Ye takes the thoughts with dice right through it. It's all about rumors and people feuding. If we're not uplifting, then what we doing? Yeah, they love the culture, yet they trying to wreck it. But are we ready to go hard to protect it? If we don't stand firm, then we're sure to fall. Are you ready to fight the stain and accept the call? Or it's all about dealerships and the mall?